Hey everybody, how's everybody doing tonight? Happy Thursday. Hopefully everybody's doing good. As always, I always like to start out this video by saying I want to give out my shout out to all the essentials out there, the ones that are working in the hospitals, nurses, doctors, janitors, just anybody that's being affected by this and that has to go to work and face this virus head on. And, we're all praying for you, we're all rooting for you, and we wish, you guys all get through this, and hopefully this all boils through over real soon. And then for the ones that are self-quarantined, that are ones that are home right now, and, just take care of yourself, take time to reflect, take this time to take care of your mind, take care of your body, enjoy times with your loved ones. And, as always, wash your hands before and every after meal, always, cough on your elbow. Always have a extra hand sanitizer with you, and just try your best to social distance and try to, just try to stay home if you can. If you start feeling sick, just stay home, because the quicker we all get through this, the quicker this all boils over. And I'm sure, I speak for a majority of people that want to get back to normal lives as quick as possible. So as long as we all do our part, I have no doubt in my mind this will boil over soon, and we can all just go back to living normal lives as we remembered it, and hopefully this boils over soon. So today, the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock, but today the topic is the Buffalo Bills, and that was due to a trade by Buffalo and Minnesota for Stephon Diggs. But to help me out more on that, I do have a special guest for the Bills. He is a big-time Buffalo Bills fan. He is actually a friend of mine, and so he recommended him, and I said, hey, I need all the help I can get. So for today, his name is William, and here he is. William, how you doing today, my man?
Alrighty, ready to get started?
That's good. So why don't you tell a little bit of people about yourself, who you are, how long you've been a Bills fan, just everything. Let's hear it, Will.
Well, I was born in Southern California, and my dad was off in the military all around the world, and when I was a little kid, they bought me a Buffalo Bills football. So I just assumed, that was everybody's, but I didn't learn till later that my family were fans of other teams, but I still stuck around. So I have pictures and things growing up through the good times and the bad times, and we're avid Bills Mafia fans, and my whole family, no other way. And we try to go to a couple Bills games every year. We support them, regardless if we're first place, last place, any place. So we're just a Bills fan for life, and looking forward to next season. It's going to get better and better and better.
Well, before we get into the discussion of the following season, we really have to go back 1 year ago around this time, the 2019 draft class. And I got to say, your Buffalo Bills, they got a good haul in your draft class, if I could say so myself. I mean, for round one, you guys got Ed Oliver out of Houston. I mean, at 9, that was kind of unthinkable at that time. I mean, what was your reaction to him? What did you think of Ed Oliver his first year at Buffalo? Any promise signs? Did you like him? What was your initial reaction to it?
Yeah, he was kind of quiet for a while, but he was more like a role player. So he would come and you'd be like, first round pick should be in there starting day one. But we had a couple beasts that was able to rotate him in and out. A couple guys on contract years. But I couldn't believe that we got him at 9, because they had him projected top 5, and it was a steal. Saved us some money, but it seemed whenever we need him, he got better as the season went on, which is great. So if that's his future, he's just going to get better as he goes on. It's going to be good for us and bad for anybody lined up against him, as long as he stays healthy.
Well, then to follow it up, he looked promising coming out of Houston, and it just showed, as you said, he did start off a little slow, but I believe like around towards the end of the year, he finally started picking up things. He started to pick up the system pretty well, and it's only going to be it's only going to be good to see what he does year 2. So I mean, I can't wait to see that because he was actually one of my favorites coming out of last year's draft. But then we move on to the second round, and again, you guys got another steal who has all the first round grades. He just fell into the second round, which was Cody Ford. I mean, I thought he was going to go first round for sure, but for you guys to snap him up in the second round, I mean, I can only imagine how excited you guys were at that point to get an offensive lineman of that caliber in the second round.
He's a day one starter, and we met him after the home opener. He seems pretty humble, pretty excited to be in Buffalo, and that was great. They put him on the blind side. We had a couple injuries, and he actually lasted the whole season. They got kind of banged up towards the end, but he ended up being great. I mean, he's lucky getting a day one starter from the second round.
And that's always a plus right there. I mean, that's always a plus right there. And then moving on to the next pick, and then actually we have a message here. Christy Mitchell, go Bills. I'm sure we're going to get that all day because I got to say, you know, like, I'm part of Raider Nation, but I mean, there's only a few fan bases where it's like you can see the loyalty in there, and Bills Mafia is one of those loyal fan bases. And I'm sure you can help me agree to that statement. Is that right, Will?
Oh, definitely. They're a ride or die everywhere you go, and you see more and more people everywhere. California, we travel all over the world, and we've seen. We went to Mexico recently, and we saw half a dozen Bills fans, and they're like, "Hey, you know, look at that! Look, we got my hat. Look at my keychain." And you're like, "Man, they're riding strong everywhere." Some of them didn't even speak English, and they just said, "Oh, well, Buffalo."
It just shows you the power of a team, man. That's all it is. So, moving on to the next pick, Devin Singletary. Now, this guy had a lot of... There was some good, but there was also some bad. But from what I saw, I mean, for a third rounder, for this type of player of his caliber, you had to take a risk at that third, only due to the fact that Frank Gore was getting a little bit older, LaShawn McCoy was gone. But I think Devin Singletary, I think eventually... He did have a good rookie year. I think he'll probably take a better step next year. What was your reaction to his thoughts, and what was your thoughts about his rookie year?
Yeah, at first I was pretty like, oh no. And I was like, man, I can't believe they traded LaShawn McCoy for, I don't know, my eyes was a nobody. Kind of like that. But our coach likes, like guys that just do whatever he says, like robotic guys, come to work, do his thing. He don't want people really to have opinions. So this guy, young and just, did what they call the tutelage of Frank Gore, and he started off kind of, he had a hit and miss, but he's like a mini Adrian Peterson. He just gets the ball and just runs as fast as he can, hits the hole, and if it's there, he'll shoot through it. If not, he's not too much of a juker. He's more of just a straight, make your guys get tired trying to arm tackle him.
Yeah.
So hopefully he comes back stronger and great.
Yeah, there was because the only reason I heard about Devin Singletary is because for a couple years they had to play the Hurricanes, and it always seemed like Miami would win, but man, it looked like he was a tough dude to bring down. So I can only imagine that he's gonna get better as he gets a little bit older and his body actually grows into his playing style. Then we move on to the next pick, Dawson Knox. Now, he was sort of a sleeper tight end. He didn't really get playing time that much, but it looks like when he finally did at the end of the year, it looks like he was starting to catch some fire with Josh Allen, and it looks like he was starting to pick up the playbook a little bit. I mean, can you have any other info on that other than he might be another steal for the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, the first couple games, he did great, and he had the one against the home opener in Buffalo versus the Bengals where he caught it, ran like 30 yards, and just blew that guy out of the water. Made all the highlights.
Yeah, that was all over the news that day.
Kind of disappeared for a while. I think he had a couple games he dropped the ball in huge moments.
Yeah.
And one cost us a win, but a couple ones we almost lost the game because of like a third or fourth down perfect drop for him, and I think the coach kind of set him out a while, but next year, as long as he stays healthy, we re-signed two more tight ends, the Sweeney, and then we re-signed Croft from the Bengals.
Yeah.
As long as they're healthy, man, it's going to be nasty because he's 6'7", And a young guy, we have a good young core. Should only go up from here as long as everybody stays healthy.
Oof, yeah, no doubt about that. Dawson Knox, that's a big boy. I mean, that's a hard man to bring down. And then we move on to the next pick, which was Volskin Joseph, the linebacker out of Florida. It really didn't pan out the way I think what he was thinking, but I just, and sometimes that happens. You can't hit on all your picks. You wish you can hit on all your picks. It's just, sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. But the following pick was Jaquan Johnson, the safety out of Miami. I thought that was an interesting pick, only, because I am a Hurricane fan. I thought he was going to go undrafted, but you guys took him in the 6th. But he was more of a special teams player. But football is all 3 phases. What did you think of his special teams ability? And can you see him get a little bit more in that defensive role? Or what do you see more out of Jaquan?
No, I think he's unless somebody gets hurt, because we're pretty deep at the safety.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But he'd be a special teams guy, which is good. Good to have young guys that want to stay employed, and they basically only do special teams because they gotta work their butt off, because they only get 5-6 plays a game sometimes to show that they're worth staying on the team.
That's
I thought he would. I was like, oh man, he should be good, but he never really ever played ever, because we didn't have very many corners or anybody, even safeties, that necessarily got hurt very much. So, but it was kind of weird. They kind of picked the same type of player back to back in the draft. Johnson.
Yeah. So you also drafted Darrell Johnson Jr., the outside linebacker of North Carolina A&T, and then Tommy Sweeney, another tight end. Again, it's just you want all your picks to hit. It's just sometimes it doesn't work out, but that's just the business, And sometimes that's just the way it goes. So the draft's over. We're not really sure what Buffalo is planning, what the Bills are planning, but the previous offseason, or the free agency before that, you guys really invested in that offensive line with, Quentin Spain and John Feliciano. Deion Hawkins is there. And, you guys had the draft you did. I mean, I think you're the only team in the NFL whose starting 5 right now is coming back. I mean, from what I know, your starting offensive line will come back. And that can only mean Josh Allen should be more comfortable back there. I mean, you satisfied with that offensive line play, or do you think it can get a little better?
It could get a little bit better, but we brought back Span. He's a big old boy. And then Cody Ford. We just need to pretty much get one more spot settled, or I think in the draft they should probably draft at least one starting offensive lineman, they think, or maybe even trade for one. Because we got a couple extra draft picks, but not any high ones anymore. But we're just lucky that, like I said, last year was one of the most healthiest years we've had, and everybody was able to, kind of coordinate together and have some team spunk. And the years before, we've been one of the most injured teams ever, especially at the offensive line. We have, one year we had like 15 different combos of guys. And it was a horrific year. We gave up like 57 sacks or something like that. But as long as Josh thinks with his head and not with his legs, it'll be a little bit easier on the guys as well.
Yeah, but for me, the next step is the season. So the season starts, and you guys had a good year. You guys finished 10-6. You guys went 3-3 in the division. You guys made it to the wild card, and then you guys unfortunately end up losing to the Texans in that overtime thriller, which is probably not the way you want to go out, but that's just the thing about playoffs. One team wins, one team loses, like any other game. It's just at 10-6, you got to feel pretty satisfied with what your team looked like, and I'm pretty sure for the first time in a long time, there's hope in Buffalo now.
Oh, definitely.
So we actually have a message from Chris Williams. Go Bills, Bills for life. Yeah, Bills Mafia is storming today on these comments. So, just actually, speaking of comments, do we have anything on here?
No, we just have Carlos and Alfred going back and forth with each other.
Oh, man. Well, we'll get to that in a little bit. So, in your honest opinion, as a Bills fan watching this team play, what is your like? What do you give Josh Allen's improvement? Do you think he improved from year 1 to year 2? Do you see a significant jump from year 1 to year 2, or do you think there's, is there something that he could still kind of work on?
Oh, yeah, he definitely improved. Just at the beginning of the season, he would get really, really excited and make like a bonehead play, just try to, hey, I'm going to throw through 3 defenders at once, and almost cost us a couple games. But I think everybody yelled at him pretty much, and he started. It seemed like he would have games where he would, complete so many good passes, and then he'd have a couple bonehead throws. He'd overthrow somebody by 20 yards, or you'd be like, man, what is he doing? But I think a lot of his is accuracy problems, because everybody knows he's got the arm strength, and sometimes he'll throw a 10-yard pass like 50 miles an hour, but and then if they don't catch it, it looks real bad about that as they deflect really far.
Yeah, no,
it becomes dangerous. But I think if he works on accuracy and learns how to he fumbles a lot when he runs, because he just runs with the ball. He's like he's 6'5", like 250. He's got big hands. He just runs like it's a baby doll, and he fumbles it quite a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean,
he just gets lucky.
That was one of the things of Josh Allen coming out, is like the arm strength was not the question. I think what it was more was ball placement, and is he one of those guys to tuck and run if his first read wasn't there? What I saw significantly was his eyes started a little bit to move a little bit more in the pocket, but I think there was a couple times where if he would have taken another second to see the open receiver, maybe instead of tucking and running, he probably would have gone a 15-yarder instead of, a 4 or 5 yard run out of the play. I mean, which is fine. Positive yards are positive yards, but you always want to keep moving the chains. As long as the chains are ahead, you're always controlling the clock. But I think the one thing I would like to see just take a little bit more time to read the field, in my opinion. I mean, he's still young, so I mean, he's only going to get better. And to be honest, he's already showing that out of all the quarterbacks, I mean, just 2 years into it, it just seems that, you guys made the right pick, from all the quarterbacks that did get drafted now. Sam Darnold is still up in the air, but looking at the rest, it's like, man, I think Buffalo made the right choice by choosing Josh Allen in that draft class.
He's got a big winter arm, which is good. Another issue with him is he always seems to throw the deep ball 2 or 3 yards too far. So if he can get better timing with some of the guys, man, it's going to be dangerous if he could start placing some of those long balls, because there was many of them where they were wide open, and if he would have threw it just 2-3 yards better, they would have scored another 100 points this year easy.
And then we have a comment from Chris Williams again. He improved from year 1 to year 2, but he needs to work on the accuracy on the deep balls and work on not always throwing fastballs. It's right on the money, Will. Just exactly like you said. I mean,
that's a Chris Black Williams. He's the founder of the Facebook Bills Mafia.
Oh, here we go. So this is the real deal here. This is the actual. This is real deal now. So, you guys finished 10-6. The Houston game was, probably not one to remember, only due to the fact of a couple weird, I guess you could say, officiating calls. It was just weird. It looked like you guys had them in the ropes in the first half, but then they came back in the second, and it was just a weirder, turn of events for Buffalo. So season's over. They head into free agency. You guys actually were busy in free agency. You guys signed E.J. Gaines, the ultimate slot corner. Vernon Butler from Carolina, who was a former first-round pick at defensive tackle. He's coming now. And I see that as an underrated signing, because if anybody's going to know the pressure of what it's like to be a defensive tackle taken in the first round, it's Vernon Butler. And I think he'll be more of a teacher to Ed Oliver more than anything. I mean, I think that was a great signing. Mario Addison, the defensive end. A.J. Klein, linebacker. The one name where I was actually kind of surprised that you guys signed was Josh Norman. I mean, I didn't see that happening. I didn't think you guys were in the market for another corner. But what was your reaction to Josh Norman now being a Buffalo Bill?
Yeah, that's good because he's a big name, and Buffalo's really not popular for signing big names usually. Unless they're like last year, kind of washed up. But I like his deal because it's a 1 year kind of prove it deal that he's going to get paid. I think $3 million. But if he makes the Pro Bowl, does so many things, plays so many snaps, that he'll like double his salary. So it's kind of like the Richard Sherman deal. That he's basically bidding on himself to be good, and if not, then they don't have to pay him that much. But it's gonna be, hopefully, it's gonna be good. We're gonna have a nasty backfield, which will help, like you said, Ed Oliver and all of our new signings on the line too. It's gonna be a good year for the defense.
And then to switch to the offensive side, we already talked about Quentin Spain. You guys re-signed him, and he's not a bad guard. He's a really, solid guard in the league. You also guys re-signed Jason Kroom and Darrell Williams, who he's kind of a forgotten man in the league, but he can be either as a guard or a swing tackle. So, I mean, I think the focus for the Bills this offseason was just get better in the trenches. I mean, how did you see your free agency? And if you were to give them a grade, what would you have given them?
I think they kind of, they did that big trade, which I guess you can call that free agency, which was awesome.
It is a free agent move.
They started, then they started stacking up the defensive line, which is we had an awesome receiver defense, but we had games where we gave up 250 rushing yards over and over and over, and it's just like they just blow through holes. Though a couple of those boys once with the Seahawks, the Quentin Jefferson, and the Mario Addison, that's some big boys.
Yeah, they were.
So
they
hopefully
were.
they fill some holes. And then we even got a special teams guy from the Steelers that I really didn't know too much about, but I was like, wow, they gave him like $18 million for a special team guy. And I'm like, oh wow, but I guess he has the most tackles of any player of all special teams out of the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, that was Tyler Matovich. Yes, he led the NFL, I think, last year in all tackles for special teams. So, I mean, whenever you got a guy like that, you just know that your special teams now have just got a little better. So, to go back to the biggest move you guys did trade your first round, which is why Minnesota has this pick, for Stephon Diggs. Now, nobody saw this coming, and this was a couple days later after Houston made the trade to Arizona to get him for a fourth. And you guys traded Stephon for a first. My initial reaction was, there's no way Buffalo gave up a first rounder for Stephon, because I thought that was overpriced. But you are part of Bills Mafia. You know this better than I do. What was your reaction to the Stephon Diggs trade?
Yeah, I was pretty excited about it. Like I said, we don't get very many big names that come from free agency very often. Maybe one every couple years that are 35 years old or something. But, I mean, you can't guarantee any player in the draft. So if you could take our first rounder and give us another superstar for 3 or 4 years, which is guaranteed, then, I mean, that's a plus. So he's not even, 25, 26 years old, and we already have 2 really good receivers, not counting all those young tight ends that we talked about earlier. So if he's able to gel with Josh Allen fast, I mean, it's going to be good. It's going to help out Cole Beasley and John Brown a whole lot.
Man, I mean, that's
turbo guys, but I mean, they still need to get one tall receiver, because all those guys are all shorties compared to the receiver world.
Well, yeah, no, and most receiver worlds, they're above like 6'3", that's like kind of the average height, but I think Stephon is like 6'1", and John Brown's a little bit shorter, and Cole Beasley, I know he's a little short dude, but I mean, your receiver, just lining them up with John Brown, Stephon Diggs, and now Cole Beasley, however you want to switch it, whoever wants to play slot, whoever wants to play outside, I mean, it's all Jets at the wide receiver position now for the Bills, so that's going to be kind of interesting to watch. And, Josh Allen has to find him, but I think he'll have no problem finding him there. So for me, I just thought it was a little bit overpriced. I thought, my thinking is maybe you could have gone him for a little bit cheaper, only due to the fact that if Houston only had to give up DeAndre for a fourth rounder, I just thought that was kind of like a weird situation where I was like, no, I wouldn't have not given up that first. But I mean, it's like you said, there's no guarantees in the NFL. But I mean, Stephon Diggs, he's proven that he can play, and he can play at a very high level. So that was probably the best addition to the Buffalo Bills was Stephon Diggs. And we do have to get into this because, your division for the last 20 years has been dominated by that team, the New England Patriots. And it seems now, for the first time in a long time, they're pretty vulnerable. Tom Brady's gone, a bunch of defensive starters left. I mean, what was your reaction to Tom Brady finally just saying goodbye to New England and he took the money and ran to Tampa Bay?
We were around my household, and I'm sure other households all over the world were really excited, and that guy has caused so much pain and hate for decades, longer than a lot of Bill fans have even been alive, the young ones. And we thought it was kind of funny that the day he left the Patriots is when a lot of this, this COVID-19 stuff happened, and they closed down the bars, and it was St. Patrick's Day, and all the Patriots fans didn't go to the bar to cry about it and drink themselves sorrow together. So we were like, oh man, it's a double punch for the fan base. But he's been a nasty competitor, and it's finally good. But everybody now, it's Bills. They seem to always do better when they're underdogs. But now you're starting to see a lot of places like this could be their division. It's theirs. And I don't like that because whenever they're underdogs, they play better than when people are talking them up. But, I mean, they still got Bill Belichick and a lot of the strong players over that other place, so you never can count them out until, I'd say, if Tom and Bill left, then it'd be a lot easier around the world. But one of them's still there.
You being a Bills fan and knowing the AFC East division better than anybody, do you think it was more Buffalo or it was more if it was Tom Brady or more of Bill Belichick running that team?
Nah, it was Bill, because Tom doesn't, you never hear anybody publicly hate on the Patriots or when the teammates, they don't ever really speak out about unhappiness, because if they did, they would be gone. And I still think, that's why I think Tom wanted to leave, because he didn't want people to say, oh, you're a system quarterback. So he wants to leave. But, I mean, it's still kind of not fair, because he's going to a stacked offensive team already. So it's not like he's going to go there and make young people stars. He already has stars in place. But, I mean, Bill is, like last year, it's always how it works out for the Patriots, Tom Brady has one of his worst years ever. But, wow, the Patriots defense is practically the best defense in the whole NFL. You're like, oh, wow, what a coincidence. It's just always something with that team. And, like last year, without Tom Brady doing much of anything, they still easily won double-digit games and could have won more if they really put their head to it the last game or two of the season when they kind of rested and didn't do too much. But I think Bill Belichick is just as part of the much as winning as Tom Brady.
Oh, no doubt. So, I guess to put it all together, what are your expectations for next year? What are your realistic expectations for the Buffalo Bills? Do you think it's your guys' division to lose?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's to the point where if we don't win the division, it'll be disappointment. Even though they added that rule, I believe this year it's going to have 2 more playoff teams. But, it was nice making the wild card. But, okay, we don't need to be wild card team. We need to win the division, especially with, we have the weapons and the team in place now to win before 3 or 4 guys in 2-3 years come up with a contract, and we're not going to be able to give $30 million to 2-3 people at a time. We're going to have to say bye to a couple of them. So right now is our window. We have practically our whole starting team signed for at least the next 2 seasons. Over a majority of them for the next 3. So it's the window now with health can stay with us. We should be dangerous for everybody, not just the AFC East.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I think it is your guys' division to lose too. It's just now going to be exciting to see how that division plays out. So we'll see, and we can only hope that this whole coronavirus goes down, and hopefully, we get just back to normal lives, and hopefully there is a football season, because it'd be nice to see, what happens now that Tom Brady is gone. But Will, I want to thank you so much for joining us today, and I want to thank all Bills Mafia that did comment on this page today, and I want to wish your team the best of luck, and the Bills are coming to Vegas this year. I mean, can I expect you and Carlos to show up to Vegas to hang out a little bit at the stadium, watch the game?
Hopefully, Carlos, but for sure we'll be there. There'll be more Bills fans probably than you've ever seen before, because whenever Bills play warm city teams, they flock like crazy. They enjoy being out of the cold every once in a while.
Well, I can't wait. Hopefully we cross paths there. But Will, I want to thank you again so much, and I want to thank all Bills Mafia commenting today. And Will, you just take care of yourself out there. Be safe out there, and hope to hear from you guys soon. Okay.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Talk to you later. That was Will, ladies and gentlemen, another member of Bills Mafia. And it's like I said, it's their division to lose, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. And like I said earlier, Minnesota was on the clock, so it's now time to predict what I believe Minnesota's going to do with the 22nd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. Okay, here we go. With the 22nd pick of the 2020 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Justin Jefferson, wide receiver out of LSU. I think this would be a no-brainer for them. They have to find another wide receiver. Adam Thielen can't do it all. Dalvin Cook can't do it all. Kyle Rudolph, Irv Smith, they're going to split times at tight end. So it really is up to, they have to find that replacement for Stephon Diggs. And for them to get Justin Jefferson at 22, I think would be a steal. He didn't play 2017 as a freshman. He was just riding the bench, but he started his sophomore year in 2018 with 54 receptions, 875 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And then in 2019, he had 111 receptions, 1,540 yards, and 18 touchdowns. And he decided to forego his senior year. So all I can say is, he's a tall kid. He's 6'3", 192 with 33-inch arms, 9-inch hands, 4'4", 40. 37.5-inch vertical and a 10.5-inch broad jump. And he set the Peach Bowl record for that historic performance at the college football playoffs with 14 receptions, 227 yards, and 4 TDs. So I think this is a good pick for him. I really do think that this will probably be the pick that Minnesota goes. So, I mean, they have to replace Stephon Diggs, and they can always get, defensively better with their other picks now. So that was today for Minnesota, and I want to thank Will for talking about the Buffalo Bills today. Tomorrow, the Patriots are on the clock. So if there's any Patriots fans that want to be a guest and want to talk about the Patriots, let me know. I'll write something up on the Facebook right now and YouTube Live right now. But tomorrow, it's about the Patriots and Justin Jefferson at pick 22 for Minnesota. You all have a wonderful night. And let's get ready, guys. It's Friday, so let's finish the week strong, baby.